Our sports stories of the year. Evidence from a law firm investigation supported the conclusion that Colangelo's wife, Barbara, was involved in the burner accounts that shared careless and in some instances reckless information that was sensitive to the team. There was no evidence that Bryan Colangelo knew of the accounts before the Ringer first reported the details. For now, Sixers head coach Brett Brown will oversee basketball operations, and the Sixers search for a new GM.
The results of the investigation conducted by Paul Weiss determined that Bryan Colangelo failed to safeguard sensitive, non-public, club-related information. Ultimately, Bryan offered his resignation, realizing the detrimental way in which these circumstances impacted our organization and his ability to do his job effectively.
My role is one of trying to provide the best leadership that I can and show faith and support and have fun with this and move this program forward with them over the next month and a half. The free agent market, the draft, keeping our current players on track with their development plans and keeping in touch with them. Those are the things that will rule my day, will rule our day.
Now, Bryan Colangelo released his own statement, and here are some of the excerpts. I had no knowledge of or involvement in the Twitter activity conducted by my wife. I dispute the allegation that my conduct was in any way reckless. At no point did I ever purposefully or directly share sensitive, non-public, club-related information with her. Her actions were a seriously misguided effort to publicly defend and support me. He goes on, the content she shared was filled with inaccuracies and conjecture which in no way represent my own views or opinions. While this was obviously a mistake, we are a family and we will work through this together. NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski broke this story and joins us now here on SportsCenter. Adrian, what did this come down to for the Sixers organization?
That ultimately they had lost trust in Bryan Colangelo and internally, and they worried very much about their credibility around the league doing business with the 76ers. And he did not have a body of work, Kevin, in Philadelphia so far that made it tantamount to them to going to really fight and keep him. He was expendable in the end, especially based on the embarrassment that this organization has felt since the story broke in the Ringer.
Now, we are 2 weeks away from the NBA draft and less than a month away from free agency, Adrian. How is this job, this GM job, viewed around the league?
It is, as one sitting general manager said to me today, that is the gold standard of what's available right now. And there are not just GMs who are not working and available, but GMs in jobs places who would love to be able to find a way to get out of the contract they have to get at that Philadelphia job. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, a max salary spot to go get a superstar free agent. That team is built to be dominant for the next decade, and they will have no shortage of candidates to go out and try to take this organization to a championship level.
And the flexibility, of course, with the draft with 2 first-round picks, one at 10, one at 26. Adrian Wojnarowski joining us on this story. Sage, everybody around the league is talking about it.
Absolutely, including Stephen A. Smith and Micheal Wilbon joining me live here in downtown Cleveland. Stephen A., first things first, what went through your mind when the news broke?
I was incredibly sad. I've known Bryan Colangelo for the better part of the last 20 years. You certainly were inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt until news came out that the wife might have been involved. Once the Sixers hired a legal firm, Mike, and decided that, they wanted to investigate this matter further, and she admitted to investigators that ultimately it was an account she started, she organized, and she operated. Well, then that was it, because there's no way on earth talking to members of the organization, and I've worked in Philadelphia for 17 years. I know these people. There is no way in hell they believe that Bryan Colangelo knew absolutely positively nothing about what was going on with this 5 different burner accounts and what have you. There's no way they believed that he was completely oblivious and ignorant to what was transpiring, regardless of what he said in that statement, which, by the way, it made my face cringe. I mean, talk about throwing your wife under the bus. I mean, I'm not trying to be personal or disrespectful in any way. I've always liked Bryan Colangelo. But that statement right there, it is very rare in the day that I've seen somebody call out their wife like that.
Well, it's one thing with a job, but now it's a marriage. It's much
Yes.
bigger than the job, Michael.
My first thoughts were of Jerry Colangelo, his
Yes.
father. Jerry Colangelo is one of the most important people in the history of professional basketball
Absolutely.
in America, in the world now, because Jerry Colangelo is how we got to the point of Dream Team and professional players, NBA players being involved in the international game and the Olympic movement specifically. Jerry Colangelo, you know, with the formation of the Chicago Bulls, the formation of the Phoenix Suns. And, first thoughts were, wow, I hope this doesn't attach itself in any way to Jerry,
right.
who has given his life, his adult life, to professional basketball. So I feel for them in that way. And then I don't think the Sixers are going to suffer very much at all.
Not at all.
This is a day and time where the word scandal, these things aren't really scandal. Is it embarrassing for Bryan Colangelo?
Yes.
You bet it is. Is it temporarily embarrassing for the Philadelphia 76ers? Sure. But they'll go on. They'll be in business. There'll be a draft. There'll be free agents. And sooner than not, people won't even remember or talk about Bryan Colangelo only to make him the
basketball angle, Mike. I completely agree with you. Where I'm so sad because Jerry Colangelo is an iconic figure in the world of basketball. He is not only respected but revered by all of us. Any of us associated with basketball, we revere Jerry Colangelo, and it's a crazy kind of way. The name Colangelo is what makes this so bad because it's not too many people. If the last name was Smith. Okay, it might be a little bit different, but James or somebody. But no, Colangelo.
Right.
So when you hear the words Colangelo, you usually thought Jerry, icon, reputation, etc. And now you think hearing Colangelo, and this is the kind of stuff you're going to think about.
So, yes, and then the business side, we move on. And when you take a look, exactly, Kevin touched on it, picks-wise, Philadelphia has 6 of them, which is 2 more than any other team. We have the full list here. They're currently slated to have about $25 million in cap space. The magic number to offer maybe a LeBron James, a max deal, $35.4 million. So they do have to make some moves if they want to be on LeBron's list. Yeah, I'm going to ask you guys about the number one priority. Is it just replace Colangelo,
Yes.
or is it more than that? Okay.
Well, you got to build a team. You got to have somebody that knows how to build a team. Mike Wilbon, I don't know about anybody else. I got one name on my mind and one name only.
David Griffin.
Joe Dumars.
Okay.
Joe Dumars is a man that has been out of this business for far too long, went to the Pistons' 6 straight conference
Built a championship team. Built a championship.
Built a championship team and can't find a job. I like David Griffin a lot. Wouldn't mind that. But I'm going to mention Joe Dumars because somebody needs
I'm glad you mentioned Joe Dumars, and he has been out far too long. David Griffin's name has come up and will come up.
And has to.
So there are people who can do this. This should not be that difficult a period. I mean, a lot of this will be overstated. You know, they're going to hire somebody and move on. They've got those picks. They've got the cap space. They're not giving up any cap space because Bryan Colangelo's gone. They should be fine.
And any of those 2 names we just brought up, you could hire them within the next 48 hours and no one would blink because everyone knows those 2 guys know what they're doing.
David Griffin brought the Cavs to championship here, and he has mentioned that he thinks LeBron James will end up in Philadelphia, so it's pretty easy to connect some of those dots. We shall see a lot to come here for Philadelphia in the next couple of days, couple of weeks. We are exactly 2 weeks away from the NBA draft, Kevin.